All right, so we're going to be going over step by step the best way to go from skinny fat to getting ripped. And I think skinny fat is pretty self explanatory. It means half skinny, half fat. The physique could be a little bit more chiseled, more defined, getting rid of love handles, right? You're not lean or skinny, but you're not obese or extremely overweight either. You're just right in the middle. And obviously, you work out, but you can only really tell when you have good lighting or if you have a pump. And so we're going to go over what you need to do to fix that because there are a couple of steps and it's a little bit different fixing skinny fat than it is to just tell someone who's 50 pounds overweight, track your calories, do your cardio, and you lose weight. It's a little bit more refined, but it's simple nonetheless. It can be done. It just has to be more strategic. So we got that out of the way. That's skinny fat. And so right now, you're in a situation where you hit the gym. You go to the gym 3 days a week, 4 days, five, sometimes six. Some of you go 6 days a week, which is amazing. You eat clean. That's another bonus. You're mindful. Maybe do keto, you do low carb, you do try and just watch what you're eating. You're not eating lots of fast food and all this other nonsense. It's not the best for your body, or at least if you do, you try and moderate it. But you're pretty good for the most part. You're watching fitness YouTube. Maybe you're watching science based. You're watching CrossFit, mobility, calisthenics, bodybuilding. You're into fitness, so you know a little bit about what we're talking about, and this isn't going to be foreign to you. But when you try and follow the advice of whatever these you see on fitness YouTube, and it's telling you, hey, you have to bulk to build muscle, or you cut to see your abs. Well, this is kind of where you get stuck because no matter what you do, you could be more chiseled, and you could be more muscular. And this is the skinny fat dilemma, which I'll go into next. You want to take your shirt off and you want to feel like you have more progress with your hard work, and you want to be more energized because when you're on an extreme cut and you're really low body fat, well, you're low energy as well. And then when you're really bulked up, you're sluggish. And that's where I was. I had this exact same problem. You're just trying to do everything right, and it's not getting you there, especially as a natural. If you hop on steroids, you already know you would reach your goal. That's a given. We want to do this naturally, of course. Oh, my bad. I'm in pointer mode. Let me stop that. There we go. But yeah, like I was saying, you're not lazy. You're already trying. I mean, you're lifting, you're showing up, you're watching the content. That's more than what 99% of people are doing. It's just that the issue is the advice doesn't apply to skinny fat body types specifically. There's a lot of advice out there and it'll work for the 16-year-old who's just getting started and he gets his newbie gain phase. He puts on a lot of muscle when he first goes into the gym and he just touches a dumbbell. There's so many genetic outliers where guys, they won't even know what they're doing and they just show up and they just happen to get great results. And unfortunately for some of us, we have to be a little bit more strategic, and that's what I'm here to provide, is that layer deeper than, eat more protein or track your calories or do your cardio. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I think you could find that on a simple Google search. I think if you have half a brain cell, you would probably understand that. And so, that's what we're here to do, right? You try and follow programs, you just end up getting stuck and very confused. And the reason why is because there hasn't been a roadmap for your biology and optimizing your hormones. Now, optimizing your hormones is the key, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. The skinny fat dilemma, right? Option one is cutting, and you've probably tried cutting. You drop your calories, you eat less food, you eat more protein, and you try and lean out thinking that you're going to get abs. You're going to look lean and muscular, and in turn you're going to look ripped, but you end up just smaller, weaker, and softer than when you started. And the reason this happens is because you don't have enough muscle on your frame for you to be able to cut down and look ripped. Being ripped is a combination of being lean enough to have definition, but also having enough muscle on you so that the size is there. Otherwise, if you cut down when you don't have any muscle to begin with, you will just end up small. And then you have option two, bulking. And this is I have a horror story with bulking. I bulked up to 195 pounds, which you'll see probably in the next slide. 195 pounds at 5'7", which big mistake. I just got so sluggish, so puffy, and my coaches were like, "Dude, you gotta lose some weight," because I was like a meatball. But yeah, you try bulking, and you're like, okay, well, if I just eat more, I'm gonna put on more size, because that's what a lot of bodybuilders will say. They say, hey, you got to eat more to gain more. You got to pick up the fork. It's just not true, because when you put on more fat, now your hormones are in an even worse position than when you were leaner. So either way, if you cut, you will tank your hormones. There's a lot of stories out there of guys who get really lean, but then they just lose all their sex drive. And so that becomes a big problem. They're dealing with erectile dysfunction because they are such low body fat percent. That's a real thing. And then option number two is bulking, which you bulk up and then now you end up puffy and you have more of the bad hormone, which is estrogen, which we're going to cover next. You have more estrogen in your body because you're fatter. You have more body fat on you. So you're puffier and you just don't have any definition, because when you can have size to you, you can have, put on some fat, but you're just not going to have definition. Yeah, your shirts might look a little bit better in, their sleeves and stuff like that, but your face will be bloated, it'll be puffy, and you just won't look your best with your shirt off. That's just that's the unfortunate side of bulking. Where does that lead us to next? So, should I bulk or should I cut is not really the question you should be asking yourself. It doesn't really matter, because your testosterone is low right now. This is the main bottleneck that is holding you back, and it's what I found to be my biggest issue, and it's the number one thing that I optimize in my training, in my lifestyle, in my nutrition now. I focus on hormones over the workouts, the diet, the lifestyle, because the hormones are the root cause. We look at this from a root cause approach. It comes down to having skinny fat, comes down to having low testosterone. And so when you have a low testosterone, essentially your body is resisting muscle and it's holding on to fat despite how hard you work, despite your efforts to eat more clean. And so that's why your workouts aren't necessarily sticking, and that's why you're not seeing the gains that you want. Even if you're making a little bit of progress in the gym, you're tracking things and you're getting stronger. And it's also why it can tank your libido. That's very, very crucial for having a sex drive. When you have optimized testosterone, it's very easy to gain muscle with the simplest of workouts. And this is something that not a lot of people will tell you. I've learned it firsthand. I do a lot of body weight training. I do a lot of dumbbell training. I don't do a lot of heavy lifting like most people. I don't do back squats or deadlifts, or I don't even bench press. I just use my dumbbells, and I use them in a way where I'm able to challenge my body and train hard in the gym, and I'm still able to consistently gain muscle and get stronger every single week. And it comes down to having that optimized hormone profile. So that allows the body to build muscle and burn fat in the most effective way. You don't need more protein powder. You don't need more workouts. You can get away with 3 workouts a week. That's really all you need. That's what I do currently. That's what I have my clients on. I have a client on who's doing 2 days a week, and she's getting great results. A little bit different, obviously, with girls and their hormones. This is more for guys, but the same principles apply. You can optimize hormones for both men and women. It's just a different approach when it comes to women's hormones. But yeah, Once you optimize your hormones, now you have a well-oiled machine, which means you have a faster metabolism and you're able to gain muscle at a faster and an easier rate once you optimize your hormones. I found this picture. I thought it was a little bit funny. You can see hormones is actually it's not just a muscle gain and a fat gain issue. It actually affects a lot of different things. It can improve your mental performance. It can make you mentally sharper, get rid of brain fog. It can change the shape of your face. Literally, you have more bone density. You have stronger facial features. I mean, that's I think this one's really funny. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like I've been mentioning, improve your sex drive. It can improve your mood, so you have less mood swings. You're more calm, more stoic, so to say. You can become more assertive. You can become more aggressive, more not just aggressive physically, but I mean aggressive in a way where you have more ambition towards life. You want to work towards your goals, that kind of thing. And yeah, gaining muscle comes down to this hormone issue where right now, when you have a skinny fat body, your hormones are just out of whack. It means you have high estrogen, and high estrogen is the female hormone, which it creates feminine features. Like, for example, the hourglass body. The hourglass body on a woman is that you would have more fat towards the hips and in the midsection, and then a leaner toner upper body. And then for a guy, you would have with higher testosterone, you would create the illusion of a V-tapered body, which just means that you have broader shoulders and you have a wider back and a slim waist. But when you have high estrogen and you have low testosterone as a guy, it creates more of the feminine physique, which is why the skinny fat body type has more fat in that midsection area and fat in the hips and the butt, because of that estrogen. And you can see actually, so estrogen is stored inside of belly fat, ironically. So when you guys who have very high amounts of belly fat, there's estrogen inside of there. But yeah, so I didn't touch on this, but the option number 3, well, actually I did when I was talking about the cut versus the bulk. But the third option is to just re-optimize your hormones and to start from scratch, basically. This is the real solution I found that not a lot of people talk about, and it's not that you need to cut or you need to bulk up, because as we've seen, I mean, if you've tried those and they don't really work for you, well, you try them again, they're not gonna work. It's like, shooting the dead horse, and it didn't work for me. Both have backfired. I was very skinny, couldn't even tell that I worked out in my clothing, and then when I bulked up, I was just very sluggish, low energy, did not feel my best. Ideally, you will, with this third option, just to re-optimize your hormones, you'll stay at the same weight, or you'll maybe even just go at a little bit of a, you can call it a deficit if you want to count your calories. You'll just lose a little bit of your body fat incrementally, but you will start to look better. This is the real kicker here, is a lot of people are so focused on losing weight where they think, oh, I just need to lose 10 to 15 pounds. 10 to 15 pounds is not that much weight. I know. Let me rephrase that and make it clear for you. 10 to 15 pounds. And I say this as someone who wrestled in college, former Division I wrestler. I could lose 15 pounds in 2 days or over the course of a week, but in 2 days is my record. I had to make weight, and I've lost 15 pounds in 2 days. I lost it from eating less carbs. Carbs hold water in your body, so when you eat carbs, you have more water retention. When you eat sodium, you have more water retention. When you get a bad night of sleep, you have more water retention. If I go sit in the sauna for 2 hours, I can sweat out 5 physical pounds. And so pounds to me are just a very temporary weight loss. You can always Your body's always fluctuating when it comes to pounds. Like I said, you can have a bad night of sleep and you can gain weight. You can go out to eat and you can have a salty dinner and you can step on the scale the next day and you will be heavier. And so what you really want to do is focus on body fat, losing body fat. So instead of tracking the scale, just it's nice if you want to track it, sure, but it's just an extra thing that you have to track. What you can do is you can look in the mirror and you can take a picture and see what you look like every single week. And this is what I did. I just take a picture every Monday and I look at week over week. Am I improving? And if I'm not, well, what do I need to change? Do I need to, take different supplements? Do I need to do more cardio? Do I need to change the training program? Do I need to eat better foods? Because these all go hand in hand. And that is a much better metric for tracking your progress because, let's face it, the pounds don't necessarily matter. It doesn't matter if you're 180 pounds or if you're 160 pounds if you look ripped and you look like a movie star. I am 185 pounds at 5'7". My doctor told me I was obese. That doesn't make any sense. But this is my best physique and I keep improving. So yeah, ideally you want to track body fat, which means looking at yourself physically, because that is the number one metric that we're trying to improve here. Yeah, so right now, your body is in a hormonal trap, like we've been discussing. Low testosterone, high estrogen. You're having a hard time gaining fat, struggling to gain muscle, tired, sluggish, soft, no matter how hard you train. That was me in college. This was my physique after coming back from spring break. Just so much drinking and partying and, processed foods and snacks and a ton of just stuff that wasn't helping testosterone, put it that way. And we were 195 pounds here. And it just wasn't my best feeling. Didn't feel the most, like I was really living up to my potential. And I knew I could do better. I knew I worked hard in the gym, but it just really wasn't my best. Now here, this is me. Now I took this picture probably about a week ago with much higher testosterone. Obviously, testosterone affects muscle density, energy, sex drive, confidence, and it gives you that lean, athletic, ripped look. It keeps you lean, gets rid of stomach fat. It helps in these areas, the traps, the shoulders, muscle density, the whole nine. And that is just from following a diet, a lifestyle, a training plan optimized specifically for hormones. No hormones, good hormones. Low testosterone, higher estrogen. Higher testosterone, lower estrogen. And so for me, that meant a few things. And you can implement these as well. And it doesn't take long. You can expect within the first 2 weeks to have higher testosterone levels. This is the beauty of it. It's not like losing weight where, you can't lose a ton of weight too fast, but you can optimize your test levels immediately. And I notice these things whenever I miss a day of supplements. I miss a couple days of training. I notice the way I feel isn't as good. And so there's a couple things. Eating foods that boost your testosterone levels, which, just to name a few off the top of my head, you've got red meat. Red meat is loaded with nutrients. It's got all your vitamins, a lot of the micronutrients that are not found in other types of meat like chicken and pork. So red meat is just a great start. You can do something like shrimp as well. Shrimp is loaded with cholesterol, which is actually the precursor to producing testosterone. Very, very awesome. Eggs are very popular right now. Maybe slap on a few of those. Some people like to take a lot of eggs. I think that's a little bit extreme. I would say just start with 3 to 6 and see how you feel. And then supplements. Supplements are good. a lot of people like to pride themselves too on, not taking supplements, or, oh, I don't do any of that. Well, as a natural, I honestly think you kind of have to, because especially with our food supply, I mean, it's just not as good nowadays. Doesn't have as much nutrients. I mean, a piece of broccoli and a fruit is just not the same as what it used to be 50 years ago, when we used to have organic farming and lots of good stuff. But natural supplements, these are meant to supplement your diet. So if your diet covers 90% of your nutritional needs, then you can tack on some natural supplements to get that extra 10% boost. Just some good starter ones. One of my favorites is it's Butia Superba. Very strong, very potent. You'll notice some effects kick in within a couple hours. It's very potent. It's one of my favorite ones. Zinc. Zinc is amazing. Vitamin D plus K2. You want to take it together. I'd say I can't give you a exact recommendation for all these, but vitamin D and K2. What else do we have on the counter? Magnesium glycinate. It's going to help you sleep great, and sleep is a huge booster for testosterone levels. And then that leads us right into lifestyle. Lifestyle is, it's kind of hard to describe, but just, living life where you have a mission, you have something that you're working towards, being ambitious, being competitive, signing up for combat sports, signing up for, it doesn't even have to be combat sports, it just has to be something that gets you off your butt, gets you out socializing, getting sunlight, going outside, walking, so that you're boosting your brain activity, you're stripping off body fat without wrecking your nervous system and making yourself overtrained. Little things like that. Sleeping well, going out, just socializing. I mean, these all help with testosterone. It doesn't feel like it. You can't really measure it, but it does. It has a huge effect. Training, and that leads us into training. Training is very important when it comes to test levels. Right now, whether you're training 3 days a week or if you're training 6 days a week, I actually would recommend that you only train 3 days a week, because the more that you train, that's less time that you have to recover. And this was one of the big mistakes that I made. This guy right here is training 6 days a week, sometimes 2 days. This guy right here is training 3 days a week. And obviously the results are so much better. You want to allow your body to recover, because you might feel physically recovered, but in your inside, your nervous system, it's not fully recovered. And you can actually tank your testosterone by training too much, because you're creating stress. Stress is not good for testosterone. Your cortisol levels are going through the roof. And so you want to train about 3 times per week. That's what I found to be the most optimal. You want to do things that build strength. So if you're training, just doing stuff that's, maybe you found on YouTube as a workout, or you found it on social media like Instagram, one of those, workouts that you see on there, and you're not following that routine, well, that's not going to gain strength, and that's not going to help you gain muscle. When you gain muscle too, you're going to have an easier time staying lean and keeping the body fat off, because muscle actually boosts your metabolism. It's ironic, you put on more muscle and then you get to start eating more, and you don't actually get fat, you actually get leaner. Muscle is a great thing. You want to build as much muscle as you possibly can as a natural, because it's going to help you 10, 20, 30 years down the road. It's why, I can eat so much food, because my body will use it for muscle. Where here, it's like if I ate 1 bag of chips, well, now it's going right to the gut. Here, I have chips almost every single weekend. Not that I recommend you eat chips, but I like them. I have a healthy chip that I enjoy. You get the point. Eat, train in a way that boosts your testosterone levels. So it means strength training. I also like to do sprints. Sprints are very good for the mitochondria, and they also increase growth hormone. You'll see in my Instagram stories, I do sprints every single Monday. I haven't missed in the last 6 months. Such a great exercise. But if you do these 4 things, eat the right foods, take the right supplements, live a lifestyle that boosts your testosterone levels, and then train to boost your testosterone levels, you will have an optimized hormone profile, and you will fix being skinny fat. That is a solution that I found. It's worked extremely well for myself, and a few of the other people who have dealt with being skinny fat.